I'm Jem Rizzotti, and this is Countdown to Tip-Off. Well, they're a solid team that's won 4 games in a row, so they're playing well right now. I think they have, one of the most reliable players in the league, in Kelsey Hogan, their senior point guard. She kind of does it all for them. She can score, as evidenced by her 35-point game against Stony Brook, but she's also leads them in assists. Defensively, she's smart and feisty. So she kind of is the engine that makes them go, and she's surrounded by a lot of really good, talented players. They have a transfer post player that's played really well for them as their second leading scorer, and the kid Kilpatrick, who we've always had a tough time guarding, and some really scrappy guards. So, they're one of the more experienced teams in the league at their guard position, and they're well coached. Maureen McGarity, I think, is one of the better young coaches in our league and in the area, and she's done a really good job of getting them to play very consistently, especially on the defensive end. It's definitely for us more of flow of the game, because it can be a lot of different players. I mean, obviously you saw Sherelle score 20 in the last game. Amber's a kid who can clearly be a 20-point guy for us. Deanna's had big games for us this year where she scored close to 20 points. So I think it's out there. I'm not even saying it has to be big games all the time. I just would like to see us have more guys be consistent with their offense. And that's part of our growth. It's the style we're trying to play, and being able to balance that with getting the right guys the right shots. And part of our inexperience and our youth is preventing us from being consistent with that, but I think it's what we have to do better going forward. Well, I think a lot of things. I mean, unfortunately right now getting rest isn't a priority, but working on our overall game is definitely key, and having the chance to do that. You don't always get that opportunity in the middle of a season to have multiple practices where you can just focus on you and not your opponent. But we also have a stretch after today where we're playing 3 games in 7 days. So we can't focus, just on New Hampshire or UMass Lowell or Binghamton. We have to focus on what's Hartford going to do better to allow us to win those next 3, 4, 5 games in a row. So I feel like we got some good reps of some things. We were able to work on some of our full court stuff and able to fine tune some of our offenses. And, we'll see if there's an improvement today. But mostly a lot of our issues have come down to just some mental and physical toughness. We've really been stressing playing a little tougher, rebounding a little tougher, and then either making big shots when we need them or making the right decisions when we need you to. And that sometimes isn't something you can just work on as an individual. You have to be in a 5-on-5 heat of the moment kind of battle in order to get better at that stuff. I hope so. I mean, I would hope that we'd be motivated whether we won or we lost, because we want to be in a position to win a championship, and that takes a lot of hard work. So I don't know. I don't feel like we dwelled on the loss, but certainly there's some motivation for this team, having started 1 and 2 in the conference, to want to be a lot better. Well, I think that it's part of the season. Every team has to go through a stretch where there's not a lot of recovery time. Hopefully our rotation, will help in that area. The fact that we play 9 or 10 guys in every game and we're trying to spread out our minutes will help us recover and be prepared for the next game. But, part of that is just our older guys taking some responsibility and making sure that they physically are ready to go. And then they're also kind of creating the right environment and culture for the younger guys to understand how important it is to be ready and to be focused.